Welcome, Truth Seekers, and thanks for joining us again on the Deep Dive. Today, we're really plunging into a fascinating set of sources, quite unique, actually. It promises a different perspective on, well, everything happening globally, but also maybe on your own personal awareness. Our material. It's drawn from excerpts of the Truth Seekers Weekly Briefing August 8th subscriber Q&A. And this document, it really tries to connect events that, might seem totally separate. It definitely invites a different look at our world.
It does. And at the core of this briefing, what we're exploring is this central idea they have. They call it an age of accelerated convergence. Now, that sounds maybe a bit complex, but it's basically saying that things like geopolitics, systemic control, even cosmic shifts, they're all colliding right now,
Yeah.
influencing each other. So our goal today is really to pull out the key insights from their viewpoint, help you understand the picture they're painting. We're not endorsing it, just exploring its perspective.
Yeah, exactly. And what struck me is how it breaks down these, frankly, huge ideas into questions and answers. Makes it more accessible, It feels like it's designed to help us all connect the dots, maybe see patterns we'd otherwise miss. So this deep dive is all about understanding what this accelerated convergence might mean for you and how the briefing suggests you navigate it, maybe with a more expanded consciousness. So the briefing itself, it uses 5 key questions and answers to kind of zoom out, show this big picture they talk about. It's almost like a map, maybe, for navigating what feels like chaos sometimes. So let's unpack these points.
Yeah, let's do that. And it's important, like you said, these 5 points are specifically chosen by the source. They're meant to show how things we might think are unrelated are actually, from this perspective, deeply connected, all feeding into this idea of convergence, hints at something bigger going on underneath.
Absolutely. Okay, first segment. Geopolitical maneuvers at the edge of conflict. The briefing highlights things like Trump's Ukraine peace proposal and his sweeping economic moves. But it presents them not just as news items, but as part of a broader repositioning of U.S. power on the global stage, like a deliberate strategy.
A strategy using both diplomacy and serious economic pressure, right? And this section really hits on the high stakes. The source uses the phrase razor-thin margin for error for these kinds of plays. It suggests, if these complex moves fail or get twisted, they could easily be spun.
Fun how?
Well, reframed into WW3 narratives is how they put it, which then feeds into that global fear cycle. So the analysis is quite stark, really. It looks at the actions, sure, but also how easily narratives around them can be shaped.
Which impacts global consciousness, right? That
It's so-
narrative shaping.
Precisely. According to the briefing, that's a huge part of it. How things are framed for the public matters immensely.
Okay, so from that huge global scale, the briefing then shifts focus closer to home. Segment 2 is domestic unrest as a pressure valve and a weapon. And it points to things like the rage against the regime protests as an example of how public anger can be mobilized. So internal stuff is just as key.
Right. And what the briefing finds interesting here is this kind of dual interpretation it offers for large-scale protests. On one hand, yeah, maybe a genuine outcry for change, that seems obvious, but also potentially a pretext for tightening federal control.
So it could be used by those in power.
That's the suggestion,
Yeah.
that the same forces maybe influencing foreign policy could also be working to fracture the domestic landscape, as the source puts it.
Fracture the domestic landscape. What exactly does that mean in their view?
It means like deepening divisions, right? Polarization over social issues, political clashes. The idea is that maybe it's not always organic. Maybe it sometimes amplifies strategically to create chaos, maybe, or justify more centralized power. It challenges you to look deeper at public anger.
That's a challenging perspective. And it leads right into the third segment, doesn't it? Which is systemic control through resources and data. Very tangible stuff here. Things like food shortages, centralized agriculture, and ESG-driven diets. Everyday concerns, but linked to something bigger.
Exactly. The briefing sees these as the physical manifestation of the same control structures it talked about with economics and narratives. The core idea they present is pretty blunt. Control the money, control the data, control the food, you can control the people.
And ESG-driven diets. What's the angle there?
Well, ESG is environmental, social, governance criteria affecting corporations, governments now. The source's concern is how these frameworks, applied to food, could centralize control over what we eat, maybe limit choices, all in the name of sustainability or global goals.
So another layer of control, potentially.
Potentially, yes. And then they add another layer, the potential manipulation of official statistics via institutional shakeups, meaning the system could control not just reality, but our perception of reality, too, shaping what we even think is true.
Wow. Okay, so controlling the narrative about the facts, not just the facts themselves.
That's the idea, which is why, the source implies, staying consciously aware is so critical. Our whole understanding can be influenced.
So, politics, domestic issues, resources. But then the briefing throws a curveball in segment 4. It stresses that not all disruption originates from human power structures, and it points to the August solar storm.
Things get a bit more cosmic here, don't they? Moving beyond just human actions.
Yeah, this is a really interesting turn in their narrative. It suggests these cosmic forces, like a big solar storm. They can simultaneously challenge our technology, obviously, but also maybe awaken our
That
consciousness.
awaken our consciousness. How?
Well, the source frames it as a choice for humanity. Do we meet these powerful events with fear and fragility? Or do we see them as catalysts for growth, for understanding how interconnected we all are? It ties right into that idea of expanded consciousness. These external energy shifts could trigger internal shifts in how we see things. It's a very different way to view disruptions. Okay, so we've got the geopolitical, the domestic, the systemic control, and now these cosmic or energetic events. Segment 5 brings it all together. The convergence point. It describes how all these arenas, geopolitical, economic, societal, environmental, even spiritual, are lining up, converging.
Right. And the big question this raises is, convergence towards what? What's the point? And the source gives this really powerful statement. The same moment in history can be used to enslave or to liberate.
Enslave or liberate.
Yeah. It contrasts the roles. Those in power will frame events to maintain their hold, it says, while truth seekers must frame them to awaken, empower, and prepare. It puts the onus on conscious choice and perspective. Our awareness, individual and collective, can either get trapped or potentially be elevated by all this.
Which leads perfectly into the briefing's takeaway for truth seekers. It's not just about seeing it, it's about how you respond, right? How you consciously navigate.
Exactly. The source defines the Great Awakening in a specific way here. It's not one single event. It's the process of recognizing these interwoven patterns before they fully manifest.
So seeing the connections consciously between, say, diplomacy and food prices and solar flares, all of it.
That's the idea. Seeing the web before it fully catches you, perhaps. And because of that, the briefing urges preparation on multiple levels, 3 levels specifically. Mentally, staying alert to narrative manipulation. So consciously questioning what you're told. Physically, building self-reliance in food, resources, and community. Practical independence. And spiritually remaining centered and hard-focused amid chaos. Maintaining inner balance, basically. Aligning your consciousness.
So it's about discernment, making wise judgments.
Yes, discernment is key. The source suggests the times ahead will test that. But they also offer a chance for a quantum leap. If we choose awareness over fear, sovereignty over dependence, and unity over division, it's a call for a very conscious shift.
Okay, so that covers the main analysis. Now, as we move toward the wrap-up, the briefing shifts, gets more personal. The section is themed from the matrix to multi-dimensional living. Sounds like an invitation to pause, recalibrate yourself.
It is. And for anyone wondering, matrix here basically means that consensus reality, often based on fear or limitation, while multidimensional living is about expanding your awareness beyond that, a broader view of reality and your place in it, more conscious living.
And it offers practical steps.
It does. It outlines these key pillars for awakening. First is release fear, calls it the currency of control. It says when you get beyond fear, you reclaim the keys to your sovereignty, your clarity, and your destiny. Fear keeps us stuck, basically.
Makes sense.
What else? Second, practice forgiveness and emotional clearing. This liberates your energy, dissolves distortion, helps you find inner harmony, letting go of old baggage. Third, inner stillness, finding quiet. The source says, silence isn't empty, it's full of guidance. The signal of your higher self comes through, like meditation or just quiet reflection.
Accessing intuition.
Exactly. And finally, courageous action, because awareness needs action. Awareness is the seed, action is the bloom. Speak your truth, set boundaries, live your values. Don't just observe, participate consciously.
These pillars sound like they're about aligning yourself.
Precisely. Aligning with the frequency of your higher self, as the source puts it, expanding your consciousness through deliberate practice.
And then it hits you with this quote. You're either lost in the movie, reacting to every scene, or watching it consciously from the seat of awareness. That's powerful. And it leads into direct questions for you, the listener. Really makes you think about your own conscious engagement. Like, are you riding the waves of chaos or standing steady in the still point?
Yeah, or are you pulled by fear or fueled by purpose?
Are you reacting on autopilot or responding from higher alignment? Oof, Those are deep questions for self-reflection.
They really are. And to help answer them, the briefing offers this personal code of mindset, 3 simple guides: kindness and respect, accountability and responsibility, and awareness over reaction.
Awareness over reaction. That seems crucial.
It does. And the source really stresses the path from the matrix to multidimensional living isn't a single leaf, it's a daily discipline. It says every thought, choice, and breath is either tuning you to higher frequency or pulling you back into the loop.
Tuning to higher frequency, meaning aligning with clarity, integrity, compassion.
That seems to be the idea in this framework, yes. Elevating your conscious experience through constant daily conscious effort, aligning with your best self.
So wrapping this all up, what does it mean for you listening right now, today? How can you consciously apply these ideas, connecting the dots, staying aligned in your daily life, in your thoughts, your choices, especially with everything converging so fast, as the briefing describes? It seems it's about recognizing the patterns, sure, but maybe more importantly, making those conscious choices about how you show up. Until next time, truth seekers, stay awake, stay aligned, keep connecting those dots. And yes, try to stay